welcome to our event, Building Community, Lessons from Organizing Across Africa. I will be your facilitator for this event today. So my name is Lison, and I'm an enterprise account manager at NationBuilder, which means I'm working with our customers across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I help them set up the right strategies to leverage our platform, which I'll explain what it is in a bit, so that they can reach their goal with their campaigns, while they advocate for their community, etc. And so I'm talking to you from London, where we luckily and unusually have some bright sun right now, which feels pretty good. Cool. So I'm extremely excited about this event today because, and that might be why you're here, we have an incredible lineup of speakers to hear from. Some of our speakers have been championing issues like human rights or environmental sustainability, or even like increasing female representation across decision-making position, all that across Africa. And so it's very exciting to hear what they can share about how to build a strong community. All right, so as we start, I just want to briefly mention a few house rules for today. So if you are keen to do it, please introduce yourself in the chat, pop up just your name and where you are based and maybe the organization you're working with. It's nice to see where people are joining us. I think that there may be people from all across the world. Then obviously make sure you're muted for the whole time of the event, and if possible, if you can have your camera, it's always nice to see your faces. Use this chat as much as you want to ask questions, so you can pop up your question at any time during the event, and we'll make sure to answer those questions during the Q&A that we'll have at the end of the event. But feel free to ask our speaker anything. And just wanted to mention as well that we are recording this session, and so the recording will be shared with you and with anyone who have signed up for the event after the event. And lastly, just wanted to name that if you, after this event, you want to find more resources and live demo and upcoming webinar like this one, feel free to visit the page that is listed at the bottom of the slide, so nationbuilder.com/Middle East and Africa. Cool. All right. So let's see what we have today. I'm going to start by a very, very brief presentation of NationBuilder and Atalanta to make sure everyone is on board and know what we are doing. And then we're going to start and meet our speakers. So we'll hear from 3 different speakers today. Just noting that because of broadband and everything, we wanted to make sure there was a good quality. So we pre-recorded the interview. So we're going to watch those interviews live together. But don't worry, our speakers are here and you're going to be able to interact with them and join the conversation right after we share the videos. Cool. Let's get started. So,
sorry to jump in, Lison, but we're just seeing a couple of gray boxes on your screen on the slide. Yeah, so it might be worth just coming out.
All right, I'm going to re-share in that case. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Yeah, it's when we're doing things in direct, nothing goes as planned ever. All right, I'm re-sharing right now. Thanks for your patience here. And all right, let's see. Is it? All right, Lina, let me know if everything is good now. All right.
It looks like we still have a gray box on the side.
Is it better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, everyone. And we are back at it. All right. So I wanted to start by just, like I said, briefly introduce NationBuilder and Atalanta. So I'm going to start to introduce you to NationBuilder by mentioning that by talking a little bit about theory of change. So NationBuilder is a mission-driven company, and we believe that to solve today's biggest challenges, is not about just having one leader, it's about having millions of them that are interacting, that are contributing to the discussion. And so we exist because we want to make it possible for anyone in the world to easily mobilize their community and to lead their people to action in order to defend their cause. And so that's why we are particularly excited to have an event like this one today, because we're going to have the opportunity to hear about amazing stories from leaders. And so what does it look like in practice? So NationBuilder is a software that is used by thousands of leaders across the world. And our solution is an all-in-one platform that includes a people database, a website that is optimized for action, communication tools, fundraising tools, and goal tracking. So essentially everything that you need to organize your community, to move your people into action, is going to be including in this platform and make it easy for you to do the work. And so thanks to this solution and also the expertise that we have developed and that we're happy to share with you a bit today, we are currently the world's most used software for politics and advocacy. And we're working with 100,000 organizations across 110 countries. And by using our platform to create the change they want to see in the world, our customers have raised no less than $3 billion of US dollars, sent no less than 1.5 billion of emails, and organized more than 260,000 events in 2019. So we're really proud of being able to facilitate such activity for our customers. So that's it about us. And now I'm going to also introduce you to a great partner of ours with whom we have organized this event today, which is Atalanta. And so Atalanta is a mission-driven firm with extensive advocacy, campaigning, and strategic communication expertise. And they help their partners and their clients to build a platform to change the world, no less than that. And so they work with really inspirational leaders and global organizations across the world, whether those organizations and leaders are in philanthropic or corporate or political fields, and they help them amplify the impact of their world. So more concretely, that means they help them shape public opinion, run for political affairs, raise awareness on global issues, and mobilize communities or find fundings for their initiatives. So it's a very complete offer. They are based in London, and their team has a significant global experience and extensive political and media and policy networks. So if you want to learn more about Atalanta and NationBuilder, we will share with you resources, links, contact after the event. But for now, I'm very excited for us to jump in and hear from an amazing speaker. All right, so we're going to start with Dr. Zanetor Agyeman-Rawlings. And I'm going to briefly introduce her before launching this video and hearing what she has to say. So Zanetor is currently a member of Parliament in the Republic of Ghana, and she's serving as a member of the opposition for the National Democratic Congress Party. And so she's particularly committed to environmental activism. She's a strong advocate for education, for inclusivity, and for empowerment of all people, and especially women. And so prior to her work in Parliament and public service, Zanetor worked for a decade as a medical doctor, and she also holds a master's degree in conflict, peace, and security for the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. And finally, she's also the proud mother of 3 daughters. So the least to say that she has a pretty impressive resume, and I'm sure that just like me, you're very much looking forward to hearing from her. So let's go watch the video.
So I would say my most impactful experience has been mobilizing at the grassroots level, going from house to house, getting people interested in issues relating to their sanitation, their environment, and their health. And the way that I've done that mostly has been through embarking on community cleanup exercises where we involve the municipal assembly and the waste management aid companies to get involved in clearing away whatever waste that is made at the end of a cleanup. And then in terms of health, it's been to engage the communities in health outreach programs where we get a group of volunteer doctors who come and do things related to cervical smears. We have eye checks, we have dental checks, we have the pediatricians on board. We do the general approach in terms of, physicians' approach of checking people's health in general. And then we also have a section where we give out free medication to those who need it, because what happens generally when people have these community outreach programs when it comes to health is that you tell people what the problem is, you give them a prescription, but they don't have the money to buy the medication. So we've kind of closed the gap by doing that. One of the important things is it's not about throwing money around or just giving things out just to say you did. But if you're going to give things out to people, they must be of some use to them, practical use. And at the time, we were going around speaking to people, educating them on the protocols and how to avoid or at least reduce the risk of transmission of the virus at the time, because my constituency was one of the red zones. So we really had to get down and do quite a lot of work. And that was one of the ways. And then just distributing the Veronica buckets at the various markets, teaching the women how to do the hand washing so that they could also teach, those around. And it was just a case of empowering people with information, with the tools, and then allowing them to also do same. More of a trainer of the trainer program, but not in a formal setting like you'd normally do it, because we just did not have the manpower to disseminate the information in the way we would have wanted to. And the only way was to select community leaders in the various places and empower them to be able to do so. And generally, the women tended to be the best, instructors, the best tools, the best resource persons in the community, because they're based there, they go home, they educate their children and the families at home. So it was really very challenging, but also very exciting as well, because you really saw the level of commitment that people in the community had towards that. The best time that would be spent with regards to community engagement is when Parliament is on recess. So we usually would have at least 6 weeks and occasionally up to 3 months of recess when you engage with the community. So it's very extensive and a lot of intensive work gets done, so that as you are in Parliament and you have to spend a lot of time in Parliament and committee meetings and so on, there isn't that complete lull between when you came into office and when you campaign again, because you don't want the impression created that the only time you're in the community is when you're campaigning. And so it's just keeping in touch with that. And then also in between that, occasionally, a couple of times a week or, a couple of times every other week, just paying visits to various areas in the community where there are issues, especially. And so the issue of having a network of people in the constituency who can bring certain things to your attention, so I can actually visit these areas and see what the issue is, because then it gives an opportunity to raise some of these issues on the floor of Parliament. It's a juggling act, really, and there is no hard and fast rule, because sometimes in between when you are in the House, there is an issue you have to attend to, and so you have to kind of make way to go into the community, to visit the schools, some of the other institutions, the markets, or areas where there are sanitation issues or flooding, amongst other things. So it's a constant juggling act, and it's a day-to-day affair. But by and large, when Parliament is in session, we tend to save the days of the week for Parliament, and then the weekends or the Monday for other activities in the constituency. Collecting information, it's been a really good tool, because a lot of people use smartphones now. I believe we have over 13 million people who have mobile phone connectivity in Ghana, which is pretty impressive, given the fact that we actually jumped from the hardwire, the actual landline, and just jumped into mobile connectivity. With regards to the mobile app, I would say that was where I had a huge disappointment with regards to the integration of the municipal assembly, which is a branch of the local government involvement in that aspect of executing that project. Because what we did was come up with technology and a network of people and locations such as safe havens and people who could be involved in rescue. And the whole idea was to have the municipal assembly take over that particular app and use it to improve, the level of good governance in terms of transparency and accountability to the community. And they, for whatever reason, did not seem interested in something which I felt would have made their work so much easier. But nonetheless, we continue to use it. My team and I, we use it from the point of view of how do we report information or incidents to one another. So creating platforms where people send photos of problems that are happening so that we can use that, and we have a reporting system in place. And that's what I use as a means of getting support either from the assembly or speaking to various ministers with regards to the condition of roads and other things. Or most recently was in one of the communities where we have a lot of technical people. It's called the garages, the Odona garages, which is an area, it's a huge community, thousands of people who work on various aspects of auto mechanics, electrics, and all of that. And using the information in terms of pictures that they were all sending and the information that they gathered, we were able to get the minister there to come and have a look at it and to commit to ensuring that they would dredge the area that was constantly waterlogged, and even on the floor of Parliament, getting more attention onto that particular area. So the use of technology has been amazing.
All right. Thank you so much, Zanetor, for this. And I'm sure people will have lots of questions for you afterward. I think there's brilliant takeaways from this interview. For me, the one that resonates the most is getting leaders and counting on them to kind of spread the word in the community is incredibly more powerful than trying to do it yourself. So I think it's really something I couldn't agree more. All right, so let's jump to our next speaker, and I'm particularly excited to present this one because I have the pleasure to work with him very closely for the past 2 years. So Bill is an amazing human rights activist and is also a data and membership officer at Amnesty Kenya. And sorry, he's passionate about data and about analytics, and he really put those skills and this passion at good use for his organization every day. And he's been really, really key in building Amnesty Kenya's digital infrastructure, which has allowed them to better organize their community and move their supporters into action, which he will speak about in the video. So I suggest that we listen to him.
Really challenging is one, many people many people think human rights issues are just for human rights organizations, like, for example, that is Amnesty's work, or that is Human Rights Watch work, so they don't really feel that they should be part of this. So for me, I find that really challenging because I think it should be everybody's business. Human rights issues should be everybody's business. And what I'd like to add on that is human rights for me is a journey. I think we are not yet there. We keep having some wins each and every day, but there's also the risk of going back to whatever we've been fighting before. And this is brought about especially by the systems that we are trying to fight that have been in place for a very long time. For example, I mean, we have the government that majorly in Kenya are the perpetrators of human rights violations, from police excesses, from police excesses to housing rights issues. And so just fighting the system again is quite challenging, but we hope that one day we will get there. As Amnesty Kenya, we've had a couple of initiatives around engaging with different communities and building the movement. If I could speak about three of them, one of them is we are moving into creating circles of what we call circles of conscience, and these are essentially different groups of people who are like-minded and come together for a specific goal. We've done training for a group called East Park Community, and East Park Community essentially is a body that governs accountants in Kenya. So that is one circle of conscience that we've already created and we've been able to train. Another one is we've done virtual trainings on students that we've trained. In the past 1 year, we've trained over 230 students virtually on human rights issues. And this has been enabled by the use of NationBuilder, the software that we currently have. And we've been able to build different capacities in those students. Something else I'd mention is we are running a petition called Chanjo kwa Wote. And we've been able to mobilize different people to come and support this specific petition, which was to the government to allocate more budget for vaccines, for COVID-19 vaccines in Kenya. So those are some of the few initiatives that we've had that has enabled us to, build and grow our communities. NationBuilder is a very interesting tool, and I have been the lead at Amnesty Kenya on NationBuilder, and we've used it for about 2 years now, and we have been able to achieve a lot with it. So one of the things that we came up with was a book club. So we created a page and on NationBuilder. And it has everything that you need from the book club read when you sign up on this. So we've been able to send this out to the public. So we've had people. It has been an inlet into Amnesty. So we've had people joining, people who are interested in reading books and interested in joining a book club. We've had them join the book club. We've been able to engage with them because that has been an inlet into the movement. We've had sort of like a supporter journey. So once you join the book club, we have book club discussions. After book club discussion, we have a follow through on how one can support Amnesty's work. So that is one of the ways that we've used NationBuilder to mobilize and to mobilize people, to engage our supporters and to bring them on board and join the movement. The other thing is we've been able to clearly segment or rather create a page for volunteers. So anyone who feels they have passion for human rights, they have been able to go on that volunteering page. They've signed up and we've been able to engage them on different volunteering activities. The last one being the call center operations that we had, where all those guys who had signed up to become volunteers, they were able to, get feedback from us. We engaged them, and they really helped us in reaching out to our supporters through the call center operation. One other thing is our membership and supporter base is very broad. So from different parts of the country. And one of the ways that I have been able to use NationBuilder is to clearly segment, clearly filter people from different communities. I remember one time we had some engagement in a city called Kisumu, and we needed them to take action against Kibos evictions. So what we're able to do is mobilize these people at the comfort of my home, and just informing this group of people in Kisumu to take action on what was happening in Kibos. So I think it's really great. It has a lot of potential, and every other day we keep learning and improving on what we already know. But so far so good. It has been a great mobilization tool for Amnesty Kenya. I think for me is constantly engaging your constituents. We need more people on board. We need more CSOs spreading fund-wide. We need them to engage different communities and ensure that whatever content they produce, whatever content they generate is very relatable to their constituents. So for me, one big thing that I would say out loud is constant engagement with your constituents and ensuring that they have information that is very relatable to them.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. I couldn't agree more with your last piece of advice. Constantly engaging with your supporters is really key to build their engagement on the long run. And now is the time to hear from our last speaker. Sorry. All right, Fatoumatta and Njai. So Fatoumatta is a member of the National Assembly of the Gambia, and she also represents the country as a member of parliament at the Economic Community of West African States. And so she does an incredible work to help increase the number of women in decision-making positions across Africa by partnering with organizations such as the UN Women and many, many more. And she's also the founder of the Njai Denton program for youth, women and vulnerable people, which she is an organization that works with youth and women to empower them, and they are focusing on skills training and capacity building to improve populations' livelihood. And prior to this, she has a strong experience in the private sector because she worked for 10 years in banking. And she also holds a bachelor degree in politics and international relations, a postgraduate diploma in law, and an MBA. So talk about another impressive resume. So let's jump in with the video. I just want to flag that unfortunately there's a beep in the background. We couldn't take it away, but you should be able to still hear the incredible interview from Fatoumatta.
The most impactful experiences I've had in community organizing was in February 2020, when I invited over 350 young girls across the country to meet with the female parliamentarians across the West African region. We spent a whole morning doing a seminar. We held it from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. with 350 young girls across the 7 regions of the country, and they discussed with all ECOWAS female parliamentarians from across the 15 ECOWAS countries. They shared their experiences the young aspirants shared their stories and told them their wishes and what they wanted to be. And we established mentorship with the different parliamentarians, and the young girls went home quite excited. Actually, they've never met people like that before, and it was so aspiring. And we were meant to do it like quarterly in different ECOWAS countries, but unfortunately, due to COVID, it wasn't possible. But it was repeated in Sierra Leone in March of 2021, where we also invited over hundreds of young women to again meet with female parliamentarians to tell them their stories and to tell them how possible things were for girls and women in West Africa in general. What I found the most effective way of building community relationship is by bringing yourself to the level of the community and speaking with them in the language and in the tone of language that they understand. The majority of people in my constituency are not educated, they are illiterate. And if we communicate to them in our official language, which is English, they might not understand or actually take the grasp of what we are trying to communicate to them. So what I do, I build relationship in stages according to their level of understanding of what my message is. For example, when we were working on the Women Enterprise Fund, what we did was I organized different meetings for different people, from the market women to the young women entrepreneurs to the young girls who were starting up their business, because I realized that the market women were not literate in English. They couldn't understand English, they couldn't comprehend. So my means of communicating with them was in our local languages, in Wolof and in Fula, because unfortunately, I cannot speak Mandinka, but I made sure that I had someone who would translate it in Mandinka. So it is very effective to build relationship in the language and in the tone of voice that they will understand and appreciate. Yes, I did spend many years in both banking and in the public sector. And as a banker, I was accustomed to managing and communicating with people at all levels. And I was used to building consensus under all circumstances. I was used to meeting and making targets set on specific goals. And I think that is the most achieving accomplishment I have had in my banking experience, because if you set targets on specific goals and you work on achieving those targets, and that is actually helping me in my political career, because you know exactly where to hit, what to hit on, and when to actually go for it. The perspective of my constituency needs, actually, we are working on the needs, because I came in to run for office because I recognized the needs of my people. I was elected based on my campaign agenda, which was to assist in getting more people into education, especially girls. And my views on these were more entrenched when I went deep and saw the level and need and the lack of support with the high interest of the people in the constituency. I realized that people were in need of education, but lacked the support and the means to be educated. So my expectations did not change, but I went deeper to make sure that what I expected came into reality. It actually went beyond the borders of my constituency, because I realized Banjul South, Banjul has 3 constituencies, and people live within constituencies. So I have people living in Banjul North who vote in my constituency. So actually, at times I have to go beyond borders to discuss with people that are living in other constituencies, but vote in my constituency. I believe that technology is the new thing, considering what we have seen in the last 18 to 20 months. And Banjul South especially has a lot of, I wouldn't say poor, but struggling people living there. So to push them into full technology would be a bit of a challenge. But my wish, even before COVID-19, was to establish an IT center where they can have access, where I believe that every member of my constituency would be entitled to at least an hour of access to technology, whether you need to learn or you need to access information. We were in that process when COVID-19 came about, and it's actually been halted. But going forward, I believe that that would be the future, and working for it in my constituency as well.
All right, thank you so much for this interview, Fatoumatta. And now is the time to stop hearing from me and actually hearing from our speakers. So I'm going to turn over to Caroline, which I will briefly introduce before that, and who will be our moderator for the Q&A. So Caroline is a strategic communication specialist, and she's a broad experience in public affairs, governance processes, policy monitoring, legislative review, and writing. And she's currently the executive director of Mzalendo Trust, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is Kenya's premier parliamentary monitoring organization. All right, Caroline, over to you.
Thank you, Lynn, for the excellent introduction. Yes, Mzalendo Trust, you mentioned it almost correctly, but really thank you to all the facilitators, Dr. Zanetor, Bill, and Fatoumatta, yes, Fatoumatta, for the excellent presentations. And offering the great insights into organizing, movement building, and the use of technology. And so I'm hoping that we, the participants, we have as many questions to them as possible. And already there was a question from, let me see if I got it right. There was a question already from Chinaso Clark. I think this was to go to Dr. Zanetor Rawlings, and the question is, how long was the mentorship program? I think you spoke earlier on the video about a mentorship program. How long was the mentorship program? What was the structure used, and how have you measured the impact of the program? And I had an additional question actually related to that, just to see, for someone who is running a civic society organizations, and what, you know, like what sort of advice would you give them, and what are the lessons that you'd share? So Dr. Rawlings.
Thank you very much. And yes, I would like to also commend all the other presenters on the panel. To go straight to the point, the mentorship program is not, what I've done is, I have a lot of young ladies and few young men, but mostly it's the young ladies I'm focused on who reach out to me through either directly on social media or by phone or when I attend programs, and they request to actually be, you know, part of they want me to mentor them. And for me, the mentorship is not about a long distance thing. It's something that involves a long journey of getting to know one another, understanding what exactly it is, you know, the person's vision is versus mine, and understanding whether we share similar values in order to make it as productive a journey as possible. What I've done is, in general, I pick a couple of young ladies who come in and do their national service in Parliament. I also pick a couple which is a 6-month, it's a 6-month program. So they do 6 months in Parliament. So for the 6 months while they're there, I kind of take them under my wing. And then in the community, I have the same. What I also do is I facilitate some of these young women to enter specific training programs. So in Ghana, we have some of these programs, for example, with the Friedrich Ebert Institute in Ghana, where they take on board young ladies and gentlemen from the various political parties. And it's in my constituency, so I'm able to have a bit of a push with regards to recommending certain people who they would interview. And that's another way that I do it, because I believe that when it comes to the concept of mentorship, you have to recognize the needs of the various people and then assign them accordingly. So if it's really about, within the working environment, I have about 4 ladies presently who are working with me. What I do is I take them on board as part of my organogram, and I assign them various roles, whether it's in the outreach aspect of things or in admin. And we try and train them as part of that to include that in their work ethic and how to write letters properly, how to speak properly, because all of that can influence whether or not they get a job based on an interview in person. And so currently I have about 5 young ladies who I'm mentoring, and the duration really varies on their placement. In some cases, it's been over a year, because I keep them and I basically molded them as part of my organogram, and then they become, part of my team. And what I would suggest with regards to the civil society organizations is, don't have a hard and fast rule on how it is that you engage a community. You must understand the community first and foremost. You really need to do a needs assessment. What are the things that mean something to them, and how do these align with your vision as a CSO? And then you can move forward with the input of the members of that particular community that you're targeting. Because what I realized from experience in politics in general, and even as a doctor, practicing prior to that, is you really need to listen to what the people are looking for and what their needs are. And then you need to discern what it is that is not spoken, and try and blend that together in order to come out with an outcome that perhaps fulfills all your checkboxes, or as many as possible, particularly remembering that they have the autonomy. You want to give them the power. You don't want to come in as a savior. You want to come in as someone who can empower people, so that whether you're there or not, they can move whatever it is forward. They can make the changes, because when you put all of that on yourself, it's not the best recipe for empowering people. And ultimately, in everything that you do, it's about trying to make sure that everything can function after you have left. So I would say that's how I like to approach it.
Okay, excellent insights. Sadly, we only have 5 minutes left on the Q&A. So Fatoumatta and Bill, I'll make yours very short. So perhaps closely related to that, Fatoumatta, Honorable Fatoumatta, you did speak about the action and the mentorship sessions with young ladies and MPs from across the ECOWAS region. Perhaps quickly tell us if there was any follow-up actions and whether you've been able to keep track of the ladies or the young people who participated in that forum. And then I'll save the last question for Bill. So, sorry, you're on mute. You're still muted.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you very much, Caroline. First of all, I would thank my sister Zanetor, whom I actually look up to as a mentor myself, and also to thank Bill and to thank NationBuilder as well. Yes, we have done follow-ups, and like Zanetor have mentioned, I look into their needs and I include them in my team. So some of them are also part of my team. That is how I came up to have regional teams across the country, and I look into developing their needs. Some of them I sent for further education through the Identity Foundation. some of them that had already finished their education, I sent in for apprenticeship, and some have actually aiming now to run for councillorship. And since we are also working on on amending our constitution for women representation, we are also working on identifying some of those girls to actually run for the parliamentary elections in April 2022. So we are actually doing follow-ups. But as always, it is the challenges that come with women in politics that we are facing. Gambia being a patriarchal society with the culture that makes it very difficult for women to break into the political arena, but we are trying to build them up and give them that confidence of coming in and having to face that challenge without any difficulty. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent contributions. And then finally, Bill, technology, and perhaps when you're speaking about technology, there's a question from Rick about Fatoumatta did speak about using the local language, and I know in Kenya also perhaps that's something that comes up in your organizing. What has been the, some thoughts about using local language in organizing, and also the challenges posed by technology, and perhaps even as you speak that, organizing in a pandemic, in a space where data penetration technology uptake is not 100%. Bill.
Thank you so much, Caroline, NationBuilder, and the other speakers as well. So let me first start with different languages and how we've been able to use that. So in Kenya, we have over 40 tribes, and we have 2 national languages. This is Swahili and English. And so in the past, the way we've always communicated with our constituents, with our supporters and members, is through English. And this is through our emailing, the blast that we send, and also on our social media platforms. But pre-COVID, when we used to have in-person events, we did some map out and collected some feedback from people who used to attend our events. And one of the things that came out is why don't we diversify our languages? Because mainly the main people that we really reach out to and lobby for are people who don't really understand or rather comprehend English. And in our new strategic plan that we just launched this year for 2021 to 2023, what we are saying in the new strategy is we need to go to the ground. And one of the ways to do that is to diversify our language. And so if you look at our social media platforms, if you look at the emails that we normally send out, we use language that is relatable to our constituents, to our supporters. And this is majorly Swahili. We've also tried to incorporate an upcoming language in Kenya, and we call it Sheng. So Sheng is a slang, and it's a mixture of words between Swahili and English, and also some native languages. So we've been able to use this.
And you have 30 seconds. I'm being reminded of time. Sorry to rush you, so that you need 30 seconds to just wrap it up.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. So yeah, we've just diversified our languages just to be able to reach out to different communities. The other question was on
30 seconds on technology, or perhaps you can engage with the participants and respond, using the platform. 30 seconds.
Yes.
Technology, yes.
So especially during the pandemic period, we've really gone online. We've used Zoom for different events, like for the book club. We've used NationBuilder as a tool to mobilize different people. We've created different platforms where people would just sign up, and they receive a lot of information from that space. So really, I mean, it has really, I mean, the COVID-19 has really changed the way we used to work, but we're still grateful for technology and the tools that we have that has still enabled us to work efficiently with different groups of people that are engaging with us.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to bring the Q&A to a close very fast, but perhaps, Lison, as you're closing, there was a comment from Segol, hope I got the name right, wondering whether any of the speakers use the NationBuilder referral feature to provide some form of incentives in getting people to take action, and also other features that bolstered their impact in their communities. That's really back to you. Thanks very much for the opportunity and glad meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Fatoumatta, and thank you, Zanetor. It's a wonderful question. I wish we had like so much more time to address it. We won't, unfortunately, today. It has to come to an end, but we'll make sure that in the email that we'll send to follow up, we'll address the question that we have missed, and we'll share a bit about that, because definitely there's a lot to say about the features that we have to build community. So I'm just going to move to the key takeaways in a minute, and just the thing we would like you to remember from this session is, one, empowerment. So the most powerful strategy is really empowering people, giving them tools, equipping them. This is the core of like building a community. Second one, tech. So use of tech is increasing, and when it's combined with face-to-face interaction, it's an incredibly powerful tool to increase community building as well. And so smartphone, internet access, and know-how are more widespread in Africa. So this is becoming, this all have a very serious potential. And finally, buy-in is the last takeaway. So as always, getting your community buy-in for projects and the new initiative is key, as well as demonstrating to your community the results that have been achieved. So really the things that we wanted you to remember from this event. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you to all of our wonderful speakers. We are very sorry that we didn't have more time for the Q&A. I was very excited about all the cool questions that we had. We're going, like I said, follow up by email, give you more information about everything, and you're welcome to join us, to reach out to us with any questions that you may have after the event. Thank you, everyone. I wish you a wonderful day.